You guys ever go do something with gamers, right? And the function ends up looking something like this. Just an absolute mismatch of all sorts of different types of people from all different backgrounds. I think this is one of my favorite things about video games, right? It's this wide variety of people who all get brought together through this shared interest. Recently, I was watching EVO, right? And I think the funniest moment, and hell, even maybe the most viewed match of the event, came from this fun little side event that Sajam was running, where somehow, some way, Harada, the director of the Tekken series, ended up playing a show match against the popular streamer Lily Pichu. This obviously is funny for a multitude of reasons, but I think my favorite thing is just how all these people ended up in like the same place, right? And then you just get these two people. They both come from such different backgrounds, but like today, nothing is different for them. They're just here to play some Tekken. That's it. Tekken brought this together, and I think that's incredible. If you hadn't noticed or just aren't aware, yeah, the thumbnail of this video, it's an homage to the Smash Brothers documentary, which go watch that if you haven't. I think this is a piece of media that summarized so much about why I think communities in games are just so fucking awesome. Sure, you know, I love Smash Brothers as a game and a series, but this documentary focuses less so on the game and more so on showing you the people who play it. Like Melee's history and success today, it can be directly attributed to this game having such interesting and diverse players who all had the limelight during the initial years of Melee. Sure, like the game itself is great, but what is better is really learning about how this game brought like all these people together, how it shaped their lives, how it shaped relationships, and how it grew into something bigger than the game itself. Something that recently happened that's similar to this, well, I guess it's not recent anymore, but the F1 documentary. This is the same thing. People have a very large interest in learning about the individuals that are a part of something, right? And in this case, it's real life racing. But video games have this similar appeal. You don't need to be in the middle of a documentary for you to enjoy the people around when playing games. Like, I want you to think about your favorite memories playing games. What comes to mind? For me, I think of all the time I spent playing the N64 with my brother and neighborhood friends. I think of the more recent times of maybe playing Mario Kart with friends over Discord. Maybe it was me watching my brother play Kingdom Hearts as a kid, or maybe it's passing the controller around when, you know, trying to beat a boss in Dark Souls. These experiences are still elevated when they're shared with others, and I really think that games that like fully take advantage of the fact that this medium allows for all sorts of amazing interactions with each other, those end up being some of the most memorable and enjoyable experiences for me. There, of course, are all sorts of reasons that contribute to this, right? Being with others, it's usually just better in general, right? Like, you know, just being with friends. Hell, I can have fun playing with like a rock and a paperclip or some shit, whatever. But the thing that really elevates games are like all the different ways that force you to experience things with others. I feel like most people I know first got exposed to video games through playing with someone over at a friend's house, or again, hell, maybe it was just watching a friend play a certain game. My first memories of playing video games, it comes from going over to a friend's house and playing Smash 64, like I said. It was always something to do with others around, and I'm sure having two other siblings growing up, that definitely contributed to this being how it is. But like from talking with my other friends, and even ones without siblings, they feel very similar or have similar memories at a young age of video games being like this shared thing. I'm kind of upset I never really got to experience like prime time era of arcades being big, right? Where gaming really, at that point in time, it was super focused on like the experience with others, because hell, people legit had to just come together in certain locations to play them. This is how like fighting games or other games got their swing. You know, you guys can have completely different backgrounds, right? You could be some random kid coming home from high school. You just come here, meet up with this guy who's like some business dude in his 30s, but you guys are being brought here together over the passion that you have for the game that you're playing. That's the type of magic that comes from shared video game experiences. Bringing it back home, we can thank the N64's ease of 4-player multiplayer, but as the generations went on, I would still say most of my favorite gaming experiences, they're related to some form of a multiplayer game. Pokemon was a huge one, right? And obviously, it's mainly played as a single-player game, but holy shit, did that whole gotta catch 'em all thing, and like the trading cards, and that led way into the whole shared experience. And of course, that turned out amazing, right? It ended up creating like an actual phenomenon. We saw this again with like a pretty different extent with Pokemon Go. Just as I think back fondly to those points in my life where Pokemon Pokemon was at the forefront of my childhood and leading me to talk to other kids and trade Pokemon or battle during recess and stuff, I look back to Pokemon Go in a somewhat similar way. At this point in my life, I was in college, right, in a brand new state, and that summer was one of the best summers I can think back to because honestly, I had so many instances of going out and doing different things that I probably wouldn't have done, and a lot of this was facilitated with the big Pokemon Go craze during that summer, right? I was meeting new people, I was going to different places that I haven't been to before. I love when a game like that gets so big, it gets to the point where you never know what other types of people are playing, right? Like, even people that I didn't think were into games, they were playing, you know? They were playing something like Pokemon Go, and it was just an easy bonding point during that period of time. But yeah, like Pokemon, Smash Bros, moving forward with like Halo and other multiplayer games like MMOs, that really started to fill out the bulk of my favorite memories with games. Online gaming, right, completely shifted that into overdrive. Now you can play matches of COD or Halo online with friends if they're not over at your place or whatever. And if you don't have any friends, hell, you can now make them playing the games online. This is why games that heavily center their design around the community are games that I find myself gravitating towards. I had a big Deep Rock Galactic phase, and I still go back from time to time in that game because of the way that it's structured. The design is there to emphasize working in tandem with these other three dwarves in your party, and when you get a good group of people, especially if some of the users, they're using their mics, or maybe if they're even just typing a lot in chat, winning a Hazard level 5 mission with them and then going to like the bar after to share victory beers in the game, man, that shit just hits different. Another game that is kind of similar and that I've dumped an insane amount of hours into, it's similar but it's not at the same time. It's a military sim game. It's Squad. Now, mainly I've gotten into this game for the super incredible Star Wars Galactic Contention mod, but even now, I'll find myself playing tons of regular squad matches, even when the mod is down, because regardless, I absolutely just love the dynamic team-based gameplay and constant communication from other players in the game. There was even another mod that got popular recently that turned enemy voice chat on, right? Like enemy proximity chat, and this again just adds another layer of human interaction to the game, and it just makes it more of an enjoyable experience. I've had games where like the person leading our squad is like a little kid, man, but he's giving it his all. Or I've had a squad lead who's like a grumpy old dad and he gets pissed off whenever anybody does some shit that he doesn't like. Like one of my friends plays squad lead a lot, so he's talking a lot, and it's fun just seeing how everybody interacts with him, and it's like, man, these types of games are such great experiences, and I don't know, it just feels so different from just loading up another single player game and making some progress in a story or whatever. I sometimes get that guilty feeling when playing games alone, because sometimes I do just feel like maybe it is kind of like, am I wasting my time? I don't know. Again, I know that's not true. Like, single player games are great and definitely take time to enjoy yourself on that front and stuff, but that feeling is sometimes just there. And honestly, when I'm playing games where other people, like the people are the forefront of the experience, like how can I feel bad about enjoying time spent doing fun things with other people? Like that's what life is all about. That's what that shit's all about. It's like that in real life, but it's not really that much different in games. It's those moments that you get done clearing a dungeon with 4 other random people you just met in the Barrens, the random game invites from people playing custom games in Halo, you know, sharing fucked up stories with some random person you just met in a public lobby of Lethal Company, right? These moments are not only memorable because the fact that they're shared with others, but all of these games and these style of games perfectly design encounters and situations that maximize your experience being with others. It's even better when you get games that give you this feeling, right? But also let you find a community of people outside the games themselves. That's why fighting games are so fucking good, man. And in today's age of everything being online, being part of a community that actually actively participates in person, you know, whether that's something like Tekken, Street Fighter, or Smash Bros, whatever it is, it's such a big benefit to always have a place around the world that, like, if you move somewhere and you're worried about making friends, especially if you maybe just got out of college, maybe you don't have those easy go-to things that bring people together anymore, like school or sports, fighting game communities, or Smash or whatever, again, you can just go to a place and meet up with random people, and it's such a nice thing to have, right? This is such an easy way to meet people and make new friends. That's why this shit's awesome. That's why the people you play games with are so important, and that's why I think multiplayer games that super emphasize the design aspects around pushing interactions between players, they just have such a special place in my gaming pantheon.